Hello students, welcome back to the new video. Today we will study about the second part of the chapter 1 nutrition in plants, that is heterotrophic nutrition. In this topic we are going to study about parasitic plants, insectivorous plants, saprotrophs and symbiosis. So let us start with parasitic plants. Students, do you know some plants depend on other plants for food and water? Such plants are known as parasitic plants. They do not have chlorophyll and they do not make their own food. They have some special roots that penetrate into the plants on which they grow. Such plants on which these parasitic plants grow are known as host plant. So what are host plant? The plants on which the parasitic plants grow. They have specialized roots. These roots are penetrated into the host plant and absorb the food and nutrition and also water from the host plant. Example is Cuscuta. These plants you must have seen sometimes. On a big tree, a yellow colored tubular like structure tining around it. This plant is actually the Cuscuta. Cuscuta does not have chlorophyll. It depends completely on the host plant for its nutrition and water. Therefore, it is known as total parasite. Total parasite. But there are some other plants like Mistletoe which has got chlorophyll. It depends only partially for the nutrition and water. Such plants are known as partial parasite. Therefore, example Mistletoe, since it depends only partially on the host plant for food and water, it has got the name partial parasite. Students, now we will study about the second mode of heterotrophic nutrition found in the insectivorous plants. Have you heard about the plants that eat insects? Yes, there are some plants which are adapted to live in the soil, which is actually deficient of some minerals. They have chlorophyll, they make food, but they do not get all the minerals that are needed. Therefore, they take some insects and fulfill the need of minerals. Such plants are pitcher plant. Another example is Venus flytrap. Pitcher plant has got a pitcher-like structure with a lid over it and it has got some sticky substance inside it. They keep the lid open and when the insects come and sit on this lid or in the pitcher which has got a sticky material, the insect's leg gets sticked over that. Suddenly it closes the pitcher and it gets trapped inside that, and inside that there is some digestive juices which can digest the insect and absorbed by the plant. Similarly, in the Venus flytrap also, it has got a structure like this with thorns. It is kept open. When the insects fly and come and sit in this part, suddenly they close this horns and get absorbed inside the plant. Similarly, the digestive juice digests that insect and absorbed by the plant. So these two plants are the examples of insectivorous plants. They are coming under the heterotrophic nutrition, even though they prepare food by photosynthesis. For certain minerals, they depend on other insects. They are known as heterotrophic nutrition. Now, let's see the third mode of heterotrophic nutrition, that is saprophytic nutrition. The organisms that take nutrients from that mode of nutrition is known as saprotrophs or saprophytes. Students, you might have seen the big umbrella-like structures growing on decaying matter, especially in rainy season. These type of organisms, how do they get nutrients? How do they survive? Let us understand that by a simple activity. Take one bread piece and moist it by sprinkling water and leave it on a hot moist area for 2 to 3 days. After 2-3 days, we can see that some patches of white, bluish color or any other color start growing on that bread. If you take a small part of that patch and observe it under a microscope or a magnifying glass, you can see the white cotton-like structures growing on that. Do you know what are these organisms called as? They are known as fungi, or fungi is the plural form and fungus is the singular form. So fungus grows on a decaying matter. When they fall on the decaying matter, they release the digestive juice on the decaying matter and convert that into solutions. And then they absorb these solutions in the nutrient format. So those organisms which obtain nutrients from the dead and decaying organisms are known as saprotrophs. And this method of obtaining nutrition or taking nutrition from the decaying matter in the form of solution is known as saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytic nutrition. So, what is the definition of saprophytic nutrition? The mode of taking nutrition from the decaying organisms or decaying matter in the form of solution is known as saprophytic nutrition. Example, fungi. The next mode of heterotrophic nutrition is symbiosis. Some organisms live together and share shelter and nutrients. This type of relationship is known as symbiotic relationship. Some fungus live in the roots of trees. The trees provide them nutrients and take the help of fungus to get water and minerals from the soil. Another example of symbiotic relationship is lichens. Lichen is the most amazing form of life. It consists of 2 or more distinct organisms living together. One is an alga, another is fungus, and sometimes it contains even a photosynthesizing bacteria. In this association, alga, which contain chlorophyll, make its own food and share with the fungus. Fungus in return provide water and minerals to the alga. This type of association of 2 or more distinct organisms where all of them mutually benefit is known as symbiosis. So, what is the definition of symbiosis? The kind of relationship between two or more organisms where all of them mutually benefit is known as symbiosis. So students, which are the four types of heterotrophic nutrition? First one is parasitic, where only one organism is benefited and other one is destroyed. Second one is saprophytic nutrition. Third is insectivorous plants. Fourth one is symbiotic relationship. Now we are going to discuss the last topic in this chapter, that is how nutrients are replenished in the soil. Students, you have learned in the previous topic that autotrophic nutrition, green plants make their food using sunlight, water and minerals from the soil. So plants take minerals from the soil continuously for making the food. So the nutrients in the soil will get reduced continuously. How it will get renewed? What are the methods of renewing the nutrients, minerals in the soil that we are going to study now? You must have heard or seen that farmers add artificial fertilizers or manure in their fields. Gardeners also add manure to the pots or in the garden plants. These fertilizers contain the plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, etc. These nutrients are to be added from time to time. You have also learned that plants make carbohydrate during photosynthesis. It contains carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. These elements are used for making various plant nutrients. But protein, which is a nitrogenous compound, to make that plants need lots of nitrogen. You know that air contains 78% of nitrogen. But plants cannot absorb this gaseous nitrogen as they absorb the carbon dioxide. Therefore, this nitrogen gas is to be converted into soluble nitrogenous compounds which can absorb by the plant. Some bacteria called rhizobium, they have got the ability to convert gaseous nitrogen into soluble nitrogenous compounds, but they cannot make their own food. So these bacteria live in the roots of the plants like peas, beans, grams, etc. And they can convert the atmospheric nitrogen into soluble nitrogenous compounds. So these plants are known as leguminous plants. These plants are very useful and important for the farmers. Children, do you know how? These plants live in the roots of leguminous plants like peas, beans, grams and convert the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogenous compounds. They store these nitrogen compounds in the root nodules of leguminous plants. When these plants die, these nitrogenous compounds mix with the soil and that can be absorbed by the other plants. So, these rhizobium bacteria live in the root nodules of leguminous plants, actually help to fix the nitrogen in the soil. This process is known as nitrogen fixation. Here we get another example of symbiotic relationship also. The rhizobium bacteria, which live in the root nodules of leguminous plants, is also an example of symbiotic relationship. So students, I hope you have understood all the concepts in the chapter. Still, if you have any doubt in any concept, you can write in the comment section. I will surely try to solve it in the next video. Here are some review questions. Please solve it in your notebook. Thank you.